Good morning, everyone. Happy holidays. Can you see it? It's a subtle Christmas sweater rather than a Christmas sweater. But happy holidays. I hope everything is going well for you and that you're managing to get everything done that is on your to-do list. I know mine is growing exponentially longer every day, and that's a little daunting. But I did want to still have one more LinkedIn Live this week. I'm going to take a couple weeks off and we'll see you again in January. Maybe at different times, maybe not even a scheduled time. I don't know. We'll probably be mixing things up a little bit because my focus as a consultant and a lot of things have been majorly shifting in this past 6 months. And I haven't shared a ton of it with you guys yet because I'm not ready to go into all of it because I want to make sure that I'm clear in it before I pass it on to you. But one of the things that I've really been thinking about is how to make the work that I do more impactful with my clients, i.e., lasting longer. And I feel like there's probably a lot of other consultants and leadership team presentation people like me that feel the same way. Their clients do really great work with them and they're super happy and they go out with a bang and they're ready to change the world. And then you check in with them a little later and you feel like there's a little bit of I wish more of it had stuck, or I wish that falling back into my old habits wasn't happening so much. And therefore, I have been digging. As you know, many times I keep bringing up neuroscience and the mind and how the mind works. And my latest geek out book is actually this Evolve Your Brain, and it's a thick one, and I'm just about done. But it is by Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you know his work. You can Google him and listen to him. He has a lot of things on YouTube and things. But this is really, a lot of it is a slog through how the mind actually works, like the neurons and the dendrites and all of these things. And so really, if you read a couple chapters at the beginning and at the end, get it out of the library, I really highly recommend it for the way he explains how to really change your mind. And of course, I love the fact that he goes into the body mind, that if it's in the mind, if you can remember it, and of course there's a difference between the mind and the brain, but we're not going to get into that right now. But if it's a memory, it lives in your body as well. And the reason it is so difficult for us to make changes, and I'm not just talking about resolutions. I mean, this would work for resolutions too, but I'm talking about communication changes, body language changes that you really sincerely want to add to your habit, add to who you are. And the reason it's so difficult to make those changes is that our body likes the way you already are. It's comfortable. It knows how you're going to react. It can anticipate. And because so much of what our body does is in the subconscious parts of the mind, we have to, of course, make things conscious before we can change them. And then they have to become habitual enough that they can become long lasting because they can supplant the other behavior. And there's always going to be triggers that are going to put us right back there. I know that you all share with me the idea of going home for the holidays and you feel like everybody regresses and goes back to their, teenage kid parent dynamic or something, right? That there's, or even 20 something parent kid dynamic. No matter how old we get, there are some things that trigger us. So what do we do about that? And why am I talking about the roles that you play? Well, I think that's the key. is we all have it within us because we all have memories of when we did communicate the way that we want to communicate. Let me say that again. We all have memories of communicating in ways that we now wish we could communicate because we change a little bit depending on who we're with, right? There is a certain level of authenticity, but you are different among your close friends. You behave a little differently than you do with your work cohort, than you do with your family, than you do when you're on stage, than you do when it's just you and your intimate partner, right? I mean, we all change a little bit there. And we've also evolved over time. So we have so much stored in this brain if we could just think about that. So what I want you to do, this is your exercise for today. I want you to take a piece of paper and I want you to write down all of the roles that you play. So this is, for me, it's wife, mother, daughter, sister, friend. Sometimes I even go into, dishwasher, cook, laundress, interior designer, gardener, right? I mean, depending on how far you want to take it, there are a lot of roles that we play. So write down, just start a list of those. And then I want you to think about how you behave or how you perform, if you will, in those roles. And what you like about your performance in this particular role, and maybe some things that you don't like. And write those things down next to the different role. So, for instance, if you feel like as a mom, you have patience and you have more kindness and you are empathetic, with your kids or something, those are some things that you write down. And then maybe those are in the good column. And then maybe in the bad column or the things that you don't like so much about yourself, you maybe you compare yourself to other moms. Maybe you let your kids too easily get under your skin. Maybe you find yourself triggered, which I guess is letting them get under your skin, but right, some of those things. And the reason that we list these out is because within those lists is where your memories are going to come from. So I want you to, after you've gone through and done that for all of the roles, okay, then the next step for that is to think about one communication that you want to change. One aspect of your communication. Because we need to start with one thing that we can change and make into a new habit, and then another, and then another. Part of the problem with so much of coaching, in my opinion, today, and the presentation work and things that we do, is it is so much diagnostic. Like, I will still come in and diagnose what the signals are that you are sending to your audience, and I will still look at how that might be perceived by that audience. So that diagnostic piece isn't going to change. But I think sometimes clients get wrapped up in that assessment and trying to change all of these things at once rather than taking things in bite-sized chunks. And that's why I want you to take just that one thing, okay? So you're going to choose one thing that you want to change about your communication. And then you're going to look at your list and you're going to see where that falls. Which role do you play when you exhibit that? Okay. Then you think of a memory. You think of a time when you feel like you really embodied this. And what you're going to need to do is for probably 30 days or more, you take that memory and you replay it in your mind. You quiet your mind. If you don't use meditation yet in your daily practice, I highly encourage it. You need to quiet the mind and concentrate on that feeling. Concentrate on how it was with that memory, all parts of the memory. What did it smell like? Did you hear? What did you taste? What did you touch? What were the emotions that were going on? Like, really enliven that memory. And if you get some of it wrong because it was when you were 10 or something, who cares? You just you need to find that memory that has that piece of who you want to add back into your life, right? Then, so you're going to think about that. This is called mental rehearsal. Just like athletes mentally rehearse, right? You hear that all the time. We're coming up on the Winter Olympics. You hear about that all the time, that the skiers picture the course and run the race in their head, and they do all this mental rehearsal. And then they start to feel it in their bones. And then they go up on the top of the hill, and then they do the course, and then they make adjustments, and then they mentally do it again. And then they go down the hill. So once you have mentally gotten there, then you have to physically get there, because the body is stronger than the mind. The body will go back to its habit. The body is so powerful. So then you need to embody it. This is something that you can do in private, but I want you to literally stand up and like walk through some of the ways that you behaved in that communication style or that communication piece that you want to change. What did your body physically do? Because this is getting your body to embrace that memory and bring it back. So then once you're going to do the mental, and then you do the real thing in private, and then you go and test it out. So you have to have done the on your own work for, I don't know, at least a good week or two before you test it out. So then you get yourself into a situation where you want to call on that new thing, and you put it into practice. And then you observe. You take a step back and you observe. You say, how did I do? Was I more compassionate the way that I wanted to be, or did I still get really frustrated? Was I only compassionate on the outside, but I was still fuming on the inside? Then that means I have to go back and do some more work. So you see, it's not an overnight thing, but this is how you make a lasting change. So when you think about going into 2022 and the lasting change that you want to make, this is the type of stuff that you want to do. Let me give you a really good example of what this would be. One of my biggest issues is confidence and standing up for myself and my own worth as a business owner, and that I deserve to be paid what I'm worth. Okay. I know I've probably said this before on here, but that really is the biggest struggle that is preventing me from making the leaps in my business that I need to make. Okay. And I have worked on it for years, and I have paid a ton of people. So if you are a sales coach or whatever, don't contact me, because I've already tried it all. And I'm going to do this instead for a little while, because I think this might actually work. So I think back to a time when I had that confidence, or almost fearlessness, or, maybe it wasn't that I didn't care if I got a no, but there was always another day, or the goal was so strong, right? And this was in my early 20s. Okay. Right after undergraduate school, I moved to New York City, and I lived there. Now we're talking, this is before cell phones, right? I lived in New York City without a cell phone. I didn't carry a water bottle everywhere. Well, maybe not the water bottles like we have today necessarily, but I lived in Brooklyn, and I took the subway every day, to my job. And I wanted to be, my goal was to be that music theater star. Okay. I was a pretty decent triple threat. I could do a lot of dancing, particularly, tap dancing, the good old fashioned musicals like 42nd Street uh, Dames at Sea and George M. and all of those things I had on my resume. And I was that perky, belty type of performer. And I would go and audition multiple times a week. I would go out in the morning. Now you had to get there. This was before the performers of today don't realize. This was, of course, before the internet. Okay. We're still in the 90s. This is when you had to go to Equity, the physical building, and go sign your name on a piece of paper. There was no online sign up. When you went to your non-equity auditions, I could go to both at the time because I had privileges in both camps. And what happened was you'd have to get there early. You'd have to get there an hour or two before the audition would start to start a paper list to get your name on the list so that you could get out of your audition in time to go to your day job waiting tables to get there in time for that. And then you would call your service because, again, we didn't have cell phones. So you had a little mailbox number and you would go to a payphone and you would call your service and say, are there any messages for mailbox, 238 or whatever it is? And they would tell you if there was a message or not, which would be something like, congratulations, you have a call back at 2:00 this afternoon for a blah, 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 whatever show you auditioned for in the morning. Okay. I can't imagine. I mean, I guess I can, but back then in my 20s, you just did that every day, and you got rejected every single day when you weren't cast. So why the heck is it so hard for me to call up businesses or to do things that it's not hard to talk to people? It's hard to get to that money conversation and really stand up for myself. Now, part of that is because from being told no and being an actor, you don't get paid. So, there was a lot of self-worth issues going on that I had to work through just because of the business that I had been in. But that piece of me that was fearless, that lived in New York, that went confidently into these auditions each and every day and got up at the crack of dawn to take 2 or 3 trains to get to that audition and take all of the stuff that you would need for the entire day, just in case you had that callback. So you had your clothes for work, you had your clothes for the audition, you had your clothes for the dance audition, you had your shoes for the dance audition. Oh my God. You cart all of that stuff around with you every day. So that's the girl I need to get back to, right? So that's the visioning of the work that I'm going to do, that where I feel really strong and powerful before all the 30 years plus that's happened since that has somehow eroded that confident girl into something different. So that's the work that I'm going to be doing over the holiday. What you can do is take all of these roles that you have, because probably over the holiday, you're going to experience every one. You're going to have a couple days where you're still at work and doing your work thing. Then you're going to go into parent mode or family member mode or a volunteer at church mode or whatever it is, right? You're going to have the chance to experience all of these roles in a short amount of time, which means you can observe yourself in those roles, see what you like and don't like, and add to that list and choose the moment that you're going to work on in 2020 for what it is that you want to do. Now, I know this sounds like a lot of work, and it is, obviously, okay, which is why you probably should consider joining me in the new year for that True to You program that I keep talking about. But I'm so excited because it is going to be the way that I train and coach and do things differently. These kinds of things that we're talking about, this is what we're going to get to do. But you need that community. You're going to need other people who are going through it with you so that you could observe them And there's that support group and those kind of things. That's why it's a small group program. But definitely reach out to me, Allison at movingimageconsulting.com. Go to movingimageconsulting.com and just, shoot me an email if this is interesting to you. We don't have to do it now. Just let me know your interest so that, in 2022, if you don't want to entertain any calls right now, you can do that. If you want to get on the phone before that, I am here. We could talk about it, particularly if you have funds left in your learning and development money that you want to spend before 2022. Now is a great time to figure out what are the coaching programs that you want to invest in for 2022. Okay, I want to leave you all, because I'm going over my 15 minutes, with a quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an action, but a habit. If Aristotle could say it so many years ago, I really think this rings true to me and probably rings true to you. So we are what we repeatedly do. That's why we have to repeatedly envision and mentally rehearse the kind of communicator we want to be. Then we have to embody it and move that memory, move the way that we communicate in the way that we want. And then we can test it out on, on other people and see how it is working. Okay, everybody, you have your assignment. This is something great to be thinking about while you are stringing Christmas lights or making Christmas cookies or something. If you happen to be doing it alone, you can just let your mind wander and think, what are the communication changes that I want to make? Do I want to be more approachable? This is something that many managers want to work on because they've kind of developed this shell or here's a thought. How are you performing the role in a way that you think is expected of you rather than the way that is true to you? How are you performing the role in the way that you think is expected of you rather than what is true to you? Mull on that until 2022. Put that into your resolutions. How can I change so that I am more authentic across all the roles? It's not going to be comfortable. Other people are going to be like, what is going on with you? Because it will transform you in a way that is remarkable. And I'm going to be there right there with you, because these are many of the changes that I am making in myself. So while I go through these and I practice all of this and I figure out how it works, then I am bringing it to you. Okay, everybody. Enjoy your time. I know it's strange here in Chicago. It's going to be 55 degrees today or something. Doesn't feel as much like Christmas. And we probably won't have a white Christmas, but wherever you are, please have a very blessed, peaceful, wonderful holiday season, no matter what you celebrate, and enjoy the new year. And we will see you back on LinkedIn Live in 2022. I do have some interesting guests lined up, and it's going down that neuroscience path. So take care, everybody.